Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. That's right. We are coming back with another live stream, episode 4. We are talking certs. That's right. Small little mini series that I'm doing here on our live stream. We'll probably have some additional topics that we'll discuss over a series of live streams. This is one where we talk a little bit about certification, right? And if you've seen some of the previous live streams, we've done some on CompTIA. And what I want to do in this one is I want to kind of veer away from the CompTIA realm and go into the Microsoft certification realm. I'm actually putting together some content right now for what is known as the MD-102 exam. That is the Microsoft 365 Endpoint Administrator Associate certification. And what I thought we would do here is, since I have to put together an outline and start looking for the resources in order to teach and make sure that we can implement these technologies, what I would do is show you where you could find some of that same information and just really break down some of the skills that are going to be measured on the MD-102 certification exam, if that happens to be something that you are going to be getting into. So let's go ahead and what we're going to do prior to diving in, let me go ahead and get all these shameless plugs out here. But if you like what you see, I would always encourage you to leave a like, leave a comment. They are welcome because it really helps me put this content free in front of other people that might be studying for certifications as well too. My name is Wesley Bryan, and I have been teaching certification content now for almost 15 years, and in a variety of vendors, actually focusing in on things like CompTIA as well as Microsoft. Those are the ones that I specialize in, but I have taught in skills-based training in a variety of different modalities and methods. But enough about me. Keep in mind that if you'd like to be aware and notified when a new live stream comes out, then I would also encourage you to click that notification button, and it'll let you know, when live streams are coming out. As we get more interest in the live streams, I'll start scheduling a little bit more appropriately too. But as some of you who are joining have seen in the past, pretty loose format here. And when we're talking about live streams, you can see all of it in its glory, even when things don't go off exactly according to plan. Like in a previous live stream where I didn't turn on the do not disturb on my phone, and you all got to hear a lovely phone call right in the middle of the episode. But without that, without further ado, let's go ahead, dive into our topic here. Now, one of the first things that I want to do is show you a little bit about, where's this information that you can find? Well, I am not logged in, excuse me. I have browsed to Microsoft's documentation here. I will leave a link in the description below, and you can navigate to this same location as well. Also want to encourage you too, in the description, if you want to continue this discussion after the fact, jump on over to our Discord server, join our Discord server, and you can, get a bunch of resources, free resources, communicate with other people too that are also studying. They're IT enthusiasts and IT students as well too. So I encourage you to do that, and you can, just be a part of the community. So the URL here, this is where you can go to find out the information that we're going to be talking about. And I would encourage you just really to kind of know where this documentation is if you are studying, really, if you can see here, any type of Microsoft certification. Let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit here, right? So all the different Microsoft certifications that are available. And the reason this is important too is because, sometimes it takes a month or two, maybe a little bit longer, depending on the time frame that you have to study, right? Again, I've seen some people that have done, studied for this certification in, 3 weeks because they had a lot of time to put into this, into their study plan and everything. But, the one thing I want to always encourage you to do is come back to this documentation, and let me show you why. So this is, this is the documentation for the skills measure that we're going to talk about here for the MD-102. I know it says Endpoint Administrator Exam. It's kind of changed its name. It's the Microsoft 365 Endpoint Administrator Associate certification. But I do want you to see, and we're going to scroll, hopefully you all have taken your motion sickness pills out there. We're going to scroll down a little bit, and you're going to see this little section here talks about updates to the exam. This is very important when you're studying for this certification, because periodically, as things change within the platform, such as in Microsoft 365. If we look at things like Microsoft's Entra ID, which used to be known as Azure AD or Active Directory, we do have to keep in mind that things are going to change, interfaces are going to change, especially when we talk about cloud-based and hosted solutions like you really have to learn here in this exam. It is going to be important that you come back here periodically and make sure that you are studying for the current set of objectives that are required. I call them objectives, skills measured, right? I'll use that term interchangeably, but keep in mind, what is it that you need to be able to do, know, perform on the exam? And you can see what we're going to talk about. I'm going to scroll down here and then we'll dive in a little bit more, but we're going to be looking at the skills that are measured as of September 17th, 2024. You will see, if you scroll down a little bit farther, again, apologize ahead of time, that there are some earlier objectives as well too. And that's why I want you to keep in mind, it says right here, skills measured prior to September 17th, 2024. So just keep in mind that they do update. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the page, and let's see here. Let's scroll back up. And then what we can do is let's dive in to our content, keeping in mind that we're talking about September 17th, 2024, the skills measured. Right now, it also talks about the audience profile here. I don't want to get into too much of that. I encourage you to read this yourself as well. Use the link. But what I want to do is kind of look at the skills, right? We talk about the skills at a glance. These are the 4 domains or sections that you will be required to know, and you can also see what the weight is on the exam here too. So you can see, for instance, when it comes to managing and maintaining your devices, that is 30 to 35% of the overall exam. When we look at preparing infrastructure for devices, again, you can see 25 to 30%, and then working our way down to the 3rd and the 4th sections here. We have manage applications at between 15 and 20%, and then finally protect devices, right? So when we look at the actual skills measure, these are the higher level domains, if you will, that you're going to be required to know. But then they're going to be divided up into a subset of skills for each one that you're going to have to know likewise too. Now I will tell you, coming up, again, this is more of like a part 1, just try to introduce you to this MD-102 certification exam. It's one of the benefits that as I'm creating content in the background, I can share with some of you out there some of the stuff, that I'm kind of putting together, and show you the resources that I'm utilizing. So what I'm going to do is I will have additional live streams that will come out where we're going to talk more about each one of these individually, and leave a comment down there below if you want to see, if you'd like to see this as well. Again, it kind of helps steer the channel because this is, for me, community driven. So as I prepare for stuff, prepare for content to deliver content through content creation, I can share some of this information with you as well. And what I plan on doing is doing a stream where we take this one domain, and then we turn around and we break down the individual things that we need to know. And not only that, I put together a lot of resources myself, just finding the documentation. And you can see here, as we kind of scroll down, there is a lot of documentation here. And what I can do is I can help you to map some of these skills that are going to be measured that we're going to talk about here to actual resources in Microsoft documentation that you can utilize to take your studies farther. Again, a free resource. I will tell you also, I'm going to put all of these links together and they will be up on the Discord server because Discord server, anytime I have resources that we use here in the live stream at WB Training, I turn around and I put them up on the Discord server so that you can download those and you can use those for your benefit. But again, it does require you to hop on over to that Discord server and join the community. All right, so if we look at the very first set of skills, we talk about preparing the infrastructure for devices. So there's a variety of different things that we have to be aware of. For instance, getting devices into the Microsoft Entra ID platform, right? Formerly known as our Azure Active Directory, right? And there's a few different things that we have to do here. As you can see, choosing the appropriate device join type is, are you going to do a domain join, or are you going to register? Are you registering? And there's a few different things that you can do. You'll see down here. We'll go into Intune as well too. Is this going to be something where you join the device? Does it have the join capabilities to a Entra ID instance, or are you just going to register it, right? So you maybe not getting the full configuration capabilities of a domain join device or an Entra ID join device versus you know, a device that's registered. And that's why the next ones, the next two subjects here that we need to know, skills if you will, is you know, joining the device to Entra ID versus registering a device to Entra ID, right? And you know, what's the difference? You know, why would we use one over the other, right? So again, let's move on down the list. Next thing we get into when we talk about preparing our, you know, infrastructure for our devices is enrolling devices into Microsoft Intune. So you're going to focus a little bit on well, a lot of it, I should say, on the Microsoft Entra ID side, but you're also going to be heavily into the MDM aspect of things, right? The mobile device management, enterprise mobile device management side of things, where you're going to have to know Intune. And one of the things I'm going to show in upcoming videos as well, this might just be a tutorial, is how to enroll in Intune, and you can do this in a trial manner so that you can have access to the Intune platform for, I think it's a 90-day trial, and they'll give you access to all the features, and you don't have to pay for it. However, keep in mind that if you choose to continue using it, you're certainly going to have to convert over to a paid subscription. So, but anyways, well, I'll show you how to do that so that you can configure things like the enrollment settings here that we have to do, right? Enrolling these devices in Microsoft Intune, and how do we do that? But we configure those enrollment settings. And then there's automatic enrollment for things like Windows, or if you have a fleet of devices, like bulk enrollment for iOS and Android devices, and what does that mean? And then configuring enrollment profiles, right? And there's a few different types that we have to be aware of when we talk about, you know, like Android. You have the Android devices that can be fully managed devices, dedicated devices. For instance, a device that is like dedicated to a single purpose, right? Like, for instance, I don't know, a kiosk-type tablet, right? Or corporate-owned, or something like a work profile, too. Then we move into the implementing identity and compliance. And when we look at identity and compliance, there's a few things that we're going to have to understand and know how to do. One is role-based access control, and we're going to have to be able to manage the roles inside of the Intune Admin Center. Then there is compliance policies, right? And when it comes to compliance policies, it's all supported devices. So you'll see currently at this time, Intune is supporting Windows 10, Windows 11 devices. It also supports Mac OS, Android, and iOS, and iPad OS as well, too. All right, so those are some of the things that we have to do as well. But like all modern access systems, modern identity or authentication systems today, we also have to learn a little bit about conditional access. All right. When we look at conditional access, you know, being able to do things like attribute-based access control, dynamic access control, where we can configure, you know, your device. Are you at this location within this network during this time frame, right? And if you aren't, you don't gain access. So you can see one of the things that you're going to have to do up here is to implement conditional access policies. Then there is the more corporate level, enterprise level, Windows Hello. Keep in mind when we talk about Windows Hello, that is your biometrics authentication that is runs within your Windows operating system and is hardware-backed type authentication. So you'll have to know a little bit about that. Now there's another topic too that you should be aware of, and I'm just going to generically call it LAPS here, but that's the local administrative password solution. One of the things that can be very can get convoluted is managing local administrative passwords. You really should be in a centralized environment where you're using something like your Microsoft Entra ID and doing role-based access control and limiting those privileges, right? We talk about principal of least privilege, principal of least access, right? But in those instances where you have to have local administrative passwords, this is a solution that you can bolt on to Microsoft Entra ID, and even though, and you can reach out and you can essentially manage those local administrative passwords through LAPS. And then finally in this section, you know, when we talk about preparing your infrastructure for devices, the last part here is managing the membership of local groups, right? You'll see local groups on Windows devices by using Intune, right? So local device, keep in mind, we talk about local groups. Those are the groups that allow us to aggregate users together based on, you know, some kind of, a lot of times a predetermined role, but they are only available and they only run on an individual system, right? So again, kind of a decentralized implementation here, and that's where running something like this capability inside of Intune gives you the ability, again, to reach out to those local groups and manage them too, just kind of like, almost like in the same vein that when we talk about LAPS, but LAPS is focused on administrative passwords. All right, take a second here. I'm going to look at the time here. Got to pull out the electric cloth. Yes, we are in Florida. It is extremely hot in the studios. I think I'm sitting at about 100, 101 degrees out here. But that's okay. I will take one for the team. I am here for you. That's right. Until I'm not. If I happen to disappear off screen and the stream never ends. It's been fun. All right, let's go ahead. Let's move on into the next thing. Getting a little crazy here, and we're going to talk about this next topic here, and that is the next domain, or module, however you'd like to say that. Right. This is manage and maintain devices. Again, you can see a lot of weight for this domain. And like I've talked about in additional, other live streams, when you see a lot of weight here, it just means, and I know it's obvious that, the greatest majority of your exam is going to be here, but I also want you to keep in mind too, the greatest, a lot of your effort should be here too when you see these heavily weighted domains. All right, so when we look at managing, and maintaining devices here, this section, the very first thing that we get into and have to talk about is deployment. Deployment's not the only thing, but we have to also understand a little bit about upgrades. Maybe some of you that remember the MD-100 and MD-101 exams, I taught for those as well too. This was actually, I believe, if I remember right, this is in the MD-100 exam where you had to know the different updates, upgrade paths. If you were deploying Windows, what are the hardware installation requirements, right? But now what we're doing is we're turning our focus to a different aspect of it, right? Now we're thinking of, again, cloud-based solutions. Again, I know it's in the, I know it's in the objective here, right? It spells it out, but what does that mean, right? So now we have to figure out using portions of Azure, the Azure platform, and more specifically Microsoft Entra ID, the backing identity solution for your Azure-based solutions, as well as Intune. So we have to also keep in mind, managing and deploying these devices potentially through things like MDM-based solutions, right? So the very first one that you have to know about is what is known as Windows Autopilot. You will have to know some about provisioning packages, essentially a collection of settings and additional dependencies and components that can allow you to configure and deploy a Windows device with pre-configured settings. And then we configure what mode, what Windows Autopilot deployment mode we need. And again, like I said, in additional live streams, we'll talk a little bit more about what these individually are. And what are some things that you'll have to know about when it comes to those. Then device name templates. This is important in an aspect that it's really just it's a simple text field that you enter a string, and if you're deploying, let's say, you need a scalable way to identify the autopilot deployment deployed devices, right? I might put something like company 01, if that whatever my company's name is, and that becomes the device name template. I can deploy multiple templates where maybe I put auto deploy dash, right, and then it randomizes the number behind it, so it always gets that prefix, right? So it's a way that when you're deploying, you can control the names of the devices as they are being deployed. Next, we have implementing the Windows client deployment. Again, this is using Autopilot. Again, all portions of Autopilot that you're going to need to be aware of. And then we also have the enrollment status page. This is an interesting concept right here when we talk about the ESP. And there's so many acronyms that start with that are ESP, but the enrollment status page, when you are provisioning a device, doing things like an auto deployment provisioning, you get to a certain point in the installation and you've got a choice, right? You could hide, kind of like a quiet mode, and the user that's sitting at that desktop as it's being provisioned doesn't know how far you've gone in the enrollment process. So the enrollment status page allows them to see a little bit of an interaction. It's not interactive, but a little bit of the progression of the installation, hence the term enrollment status page. And then we talk about, once we've kind of determined what is the difference between using Autopilot and provisioning packets, we need to be able to actually provision, implement and deploy the provisioning packages. Then we look at planning and implementing device upgrades for Windows 11. So what is the jargon behind that? That means you're going to have to know what the valid upgrade paths are. This is something that's been in a lot of the previous Windows client exams. Gosh, I think going all the way back to 7, might even all the way back to Windows XP. But you had to know if you have a current, let's say a Windows 10 Home Edition, what is the valid upgrade to Windows 11? What is the valid upgrade path? Is there an upgrade path? If I already have, let's say, Windows Home or Windows 11 Home, is there an upgrade if I want to add, let's say, maybe go to the Pro solution where I can do a domain join? So again, when it comes to device upgrades, you're going to have to be aware of those upgrade paths, and that's something that it's interesting because you also see this in other certifications exams as well too. So for instance, in the live stream that I did for CompTIA's 220-1202 exam, there are some requirements to know about the Windows operating system and more specifically valid upgrade paths. So this isn't the only time you see that. So some of you out there that have maybe already passed A+ or are currently studying for A+, I love it when you can study something once and it benefits you across both exams. This is one of those things where it can benefit you both in CompTIA's exam realm for A+, as well as here in the MD-102 exam, likewise too. But then there are virtual desktop infrastructure deployments here that you'll have to be aware of too. That's the Windows 365 Cloud PC deployment. This is a very, very cool technology. I know I sound like I'm advertising for Microsoft. I'm actually a fanboy of this one, I have to say, because it gives you the ability to deploy a PC without a device behind it. You don't have to deploy or provision a device. You essentially configure the environment that you want. You push it out to a user, and a user can use their browser. I'll have to look at it, but I do believe also an RDP connection, and they can connect to a Windows desktop that you can control, and you don't have to worry about things like the hardware maintenance on the other side of it. That's what I mean, no hardware. We don't have to worry about that. So very, very cool technology. All right, then we move into, as we are going down in the second domain here, we look at planning and implementing device configuration profiles, and there's a few different things here, a couple different things I want to mention in the very first objective or skills measured, and that's creating device configuration profiles for Windows devices, right? This is exactly what it sounds like. We configure a profile that when that device connects, it will configure that device appropriately. But you can also do the ADMX files. Those of you that maybe come over from an Active Directory environment where you use your ADMX files as part of your configuration settings. This is where we're actually using those type of ADMX files inside of your Intune infrastructure and your cloud-based infrastructure, excuse me. And then helping this, let me help you out with all three of these, the different platform capabilities. This is what you're doing. So device configuration profiles for Android, iOS, Mac OS as well too. I'll have to look into it because as this system has advanced Intune, I know it supports Chrome OS. I've actually deployed to Chrome OS from Google Workspace, but I believe, even though it's not required on the exam, the functionality is there that you could also do device configuration. If that's updated, I know that when I first implemented or deployed a Chrome OS device, essentially it's a connection between your Google Workspace and your Intune platform. I could see the device, but I have to be honest, I couldn't configure it, so that might be why that's not in the objectives. You might manage it from Google Workspace, but it gives you the ability to track it inside of your Microsoft Intune infrastructure. And then multi-session devices here, again, devices that essentially you have more than one person connect to at one time. You can configure device profiles for those as well too. All right, here's a really fun utility or a set of things. Really, it's all focused and centric around the Intune Suite add-on, and you, depending on the different level that you add to the Intune platform, will really dictate whether you can do any of these, yourself. So definitely look at the documentation. But the very first one that we talk about is the Endpoint Privilege Management, EPM. You're going to have to know a little bit about configuring that, as well as managing applications using an enterprise app catalog. That's a very interesting topic, and like I said, in future live streams, we'll go into the specifics on each one of these. But then you also, if you've added that, like for instance, if you add the Intune suite, I believe it's the Enterprise, the entire suite, you get the Intune Advanced Analytics. Again, I'll have to check because sometimes it changes a lot here. Intune Remote Help, this is really, really cool. The ability to go have a cloud-based connection and use something like, almost like RDP, but it's a little bit closer for those of you that are in Windows to the, drawing a blank here, the remote assistance technology, MCRA technology. You can find it built into your home editions. Those of you that have Windows Home out there, if you have Pro, you can find it too. Just type in your run line, what is it, MSRA.exe, right, and that's your remote assistance. This is a way that you can do this on the enterprise level, and you can connect and help people remotely in that same thought process, or that same context, I should say, but you can support your end users. And then we get into the cloud PKI, public key infrastructure, right, and implementing a cloud PKI, and there's a few different options you have for that as well too. And then we also have something that is known as the Microsoft Tunnel. It used to be called the Microsoft Tunnel for Intune. Today it's the Microsoft Tunnel for MAM, or that is your mobile application management solution too. So a way to establish an encrypted communication and utilize application management solution. Next, we talk a little bit about some of the remote actions that if you have your devices. Now, the level of actions that will be available depends on whether a device is registered or a device is joined. that is another thing to keep in mind, especially when it comes to setting up your infrastructure. But remote action, some of the things that you can do on your devices is synchronize. You can do restarts, retires, or remote wipes, or even performing bulk remote actions, right, where we can tie and chain a few different actions together if we need to, as well as updating the Windows Defender Security Intelligence, right? That information is always important to keep your endpoints safe from, vulnerabilities and threats. And then you can also do BitLocker recovery key rotation. This is important too because remember, key rotation, that gives you a certain level of key management, right? It's a secrets management solution for BitLocker recovery keys. These can get kind of complex when you have a great many devices that you need to, manage and maintain those recovery keys, because keep in mind, a recovery key is tied to a specific instance of a BitLocker encryption, right? And if that recovery key is lost, you could potentially lose access to the device and the information contained on the device. Now, that being said, this gives you the ability to do a little bit of management around those recovery keys. And then last in this little section here, actually last in the domain, is running a device query. Wait for it, using KQL. I swear I realize what that acronym and how to spell that acronym. This is actually the Cousteau query language. The Cousteau, I can say it if I say his name, Jacques Cousteau. Cousteau, there we go. I don't know why I can't say it by itself. This allows you to really, query a device for a variety of information, and that is Microsoft's proprietary Cousteau language there. All right, so next up, we get into managing the applications. And when we talk about managing applications, oops, it's just a bit outside, ball one. When we look at managing applications, there's a variety of things that we have to do, and some of the things that we'll have to do is be able to deploy and update applications, and in order to do that, we need to make sure that they are prepared for deployment, and there's a few different ways that you're going to have to be able to tackle this when it comes to using or taking this exam. Very first thing that you're going to have to do is prepare your applications for deployment using Intune. Then you will actually have to deploy those apps using Intune. You'll see that Microsoft 365 apps come in and come into play here as well. And then you're also going to have to use a couple of different utilities and tools. And I know it's a big, long objective, but it's not really as complex, I swear, as it sounds. So let me help you out with this one. Deploy Microsoft 365 apps as part of a Windows Autopilot deployment by using, I'll just abbreviate this, the ODT or the OCT. All right, so these are two different utilities that you can utilize to customize your deployments and control them, is really what that is. It's not as complex. It's kind of harder to say that objective than it actually is to do what the objective wants you to be able to do. So don't fret on that one. Then we have managing Microsoft 365 apps, and you can see we're going to use the Microsoft 365 Apps Admin Center, a centralized interface. You're going to see that you will have to get used to utilizing a couple of different interfaces in a couple different locations. Again, whether it happens to be the Microsoft Entra ID inside of Azure, if it's Intune, if it's the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and you're also going to see that some additional interfaces are going to come in when we start talking about things like security as well too. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's keep going. Last one in applications there is deploying applications to the platform-specific app stores, whether it's Microsoft Store, the App Store, as a part of your iOS devices. You will be required to do that. All right, let's go in. Let's see, where are we at here? Just looking at the viewers that are in chat here, making sure we are not ignoring anybody. Keep in mind, if you like what you see here, we're going to be breaking down a lot of these different certifications that people could be potentially taking out there, and where I am preparing some content around this one, I figured I would share with everybody. All right, moving on. The last little subsection here we've got in this module or domain, however you'd like to say that, is plan and implement app protection and app configuration policies. Much like the device configuration policies, this concept really lends itself almost to the same thing, right? Now we're not focused on specifically on the device, but how do we want to deploy the app, including app protection policies and even conditional access. Remember, when we talk about conditional access policies, this is that dynamic attribute-based access control, right? That allows us to say, okay, not only do we know who you are and you're authorized to view this this resource or consume this application, where are you actually located at, right? What device are you coming in from? What's the time of day? You know, so we can add additional things to the access requirements rather than just traditional authentication and then authorization. You proved who you say you are, now we know what you can do, and then we would bolt on the third part of that, which would be what did you do through accounting. All right, moving on. Let's see here. We got our last section that we need to talk about here in this live stream, and that is protect devices. Keep in mind that what we are doing here is, again, going over the MD-102 certification and the skills that are measured in part 1 of my MD-102 series for the Microsoft 365 Enterprise Administrator Associate certification. So the last domain here is going to be protecting devices, and one of the first things that we have to do is configure our endpoint security. And there's a variety of different things that they want you to do, and I'll tell you that these are really all, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 of these are really just individual. You go into your endpoint security section inside of Microsoft Intune, and you have the ability to create an antivirus policy, a disk encryption policy, a firewall policy, what's known as an ASR policy or an attack surface reduction policy. So these are really just like 4 different blades inside of the Intune interface that they want you to be able to create these. Now, like I did in the previous live stream, I want you to remember when we're talking about these certifications, also notice what the level of skills are that you are required really to know when it comes to studying for this. You need to create one. You need to create an antivirus policy. You need to create a disk encryption policy. Again, then the firewall policy, and then finally your ASR policy. Next up, we have planning and implementing security baselines, as well as integrating Intune with the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. You're going to see that this Microsoft Defender is actually a very modular, I guess you would, how would you put it, anti-malware solution. It runs for the cloud, it runs for server, it runs for endpoint, so you can see a lot of different offerings here, and this is a way that you can integrate Intune with the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint platform. Keep in mind another interface that you're going to have to be familiar with when it comes to the MD-102 exam. And then onboarding devices into the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. This is essentially where you can download a piece of software that you can then export to your devices, allowing them to then turn around and connect and be onboarded into the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint solution. All right, next up, let's see. Let me take a look here real quick at the chat room. Looks like we are good. All right. So the next section here is managing device updates by using Intune. And here's where you'll see quite a few different, but really all the operating systems that we've talked about so far, we're going to have to do some kind of basic management around their updates, right? So one of the first things they want you to be able to do is plan for these updates. Again, that's going to be in some documentation. We'll talk about it coming up in some other live streams around MD-102. But you also have to create and manage the update rings using Intune. Again, this is how fast you receive certain types of updates and features. And then creating and managing update policies using the other mobile, the Apple operating systems, right? The iOS, Mac OS. And I wouldn't be surprised, I don't see it in the list here, but I wouldn't be surprised if you wouldn't see something like the iPad OS in there as well, too. Then we also have to do this for Android devices, and there's a couple different options here, whether we're using configuration profiles. That goes us back, kind of loops us back to, yes, you're doing updates, but you're using configuration profiles to do it, something that we've already talked about, so kind of keep that in mind. Or through the OTA by itself, the over-the-air firmware-based updates. And then we can also configure the Windows client delivery optimization using Windows Intune. You can do this through things like GPO settings. If you're in an Active Directory environment, you can also do this just locally through the client. Keep in mind, if we're doing these, configuring these devices in a decentralized fashion, not really good for your administrative overhead. So this is a good way that you can control this from a centralized location with the devices essentially connected and enrolled into Intune, and it allows you that cloud-based solution in order to manage this. And then as well, we also have the monitoring update side of things likewise too. So you can see there are a variety of different things that you need to be aware of when it comes to the MD-102 exam. Remember, we've talked about the major domains. We kind of looked at the individual objectives. Again, I will put that resource or the URL for what we're looking at here. I will put it in the description. I also want you to keep in mind that we will have additional of these live streams that'll come out for our MD-102. Also, like a little reminder there, remember you're looking at the skills measured as of September 17th, 2024. That is an important thing to know. It is something that I would be aware of. Now, as always, I would encourage you, if you've liked what you see here, we've got additional training videos that'll come up that are going to come out where it won't be a live stream, it'll be more formal type training. These live streams are really just made to be a little bit more informal. You'll probably hear some lightning in the background. I know it's extremely hot in the studios right now, but I would encourage you, if you like, joining me here, I would definitely hop on over to our Discord server. Like I said, I would encourage you to subscribe to the channel, as well as clicking that notification bell. And I'm sure as I get used to this, as I bump the mic, I have forgot something in here, but it's fun. Try to keep these very loose, and without a lot of the formality, right? And you can join me in the chat, and we can, talk a little bit about the certifications that we're going over at the time. The other thing, like I said, if you continue this conversation with me, always hop on over to the Discord server. We've got a variety of other individuals that are part of the community there that are also lending their support likewise too. But as always, I thank you for being here. I think I'm rambling now, and I think it's about time to get out of here. So, on behalf of myself here and really some of the people that are behind the scenes, I thank you for being here. Thank you for watching.